In Châtelet, my dudes, and welcome to Polecat Cast number 110, Kekistani Fashion Police, where our stealthy polecats ferret out the best feels, funnies, and what the fucks to discuss slam bam badger style. Buckle up, buckaroos, try to secure your sides, and mind your spines. Also, maybe don't eat anything beforehand, and make sure the bleach is locked up tight, although it probably isn't if you saw the latest Bill Nye video that's been circulating the internet. Today's Polecat panel consists of the big half of Big and Robot, Scott, the silverback self-aware simian, Max Darrett, Simpsons kin, and definitely not a giant sentient Twinkie, not that there's anything wrong with that, Polecat Punster and Pussycat Punisher Hannah, Dr. Random Cam, Panda, Puppet Master, and Long-Range Rhetorician, and me, your host, the Doge in Charge. Today we will be discussing the following topics. Creator of Assassin's Creed, Patrice Desilets, I think that's how you say it, I don't care if that's not, was asked what can only be seen as the most important and hottest burning question on every developer and consumer's mind. How will you address gender inequality in game development? He answers by saying he won't hire men in an energized fashion. Specifically, he won't hire dicks. Peak virtue signaling, by the way. But fails to realize that even when you insult and discriminate against men, women are the ones that are most affected, you shitlord. What has the world come to that humble little fashion designer Zara can't even include an image of the god of chaos Kek? Could it be that Glamour magazine has provoked the good people of Kekistan and in so doing might incite meme jihad? Those normies. Age of Shitlords pulls out the old tapes, scrolls, and hieroglyphs of the internet 2014 to look at the memes of yesteryear. For those of you too young to remember, it was a current year far before our current year, where white knights rode in on steeds of moral superiority to openly call out Gamergate supporters and accuse them of misogyny, which of course is the most vile crime of the internet. How have these pillars of ethics, tolerance, and humanity fared since the fallout of Gamergate? They have been weighed, they have been measured, and they have been found wanting. Looks like the Huffington Post has been Huffington glue again. Well, let's call it an effort. In an effort to virtue signal by shitting on white men, the Post has gotten into some hot water with a pressombudsman, I think that's how you say it, pressombudsman who seems to be the last ethical person left in journalism. Soon after this, the editor-in-chief at large has resigned. And finally, our bonus story for the patron-only after show. Are you a retarded feminist who thinks everything is a gendered issue? Do you need an application on your phone that will take up your microphone 24/7, causing it to slow down and waste your battery power? Are you so privileged that data limits mean nothing to you since your beta boyfriend pretty much pays for everything? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then we have just the app for you. Introducing Woman Interrupted, a handy new app that will remind you just how weak, insecure, and narcissistic you really are. Satisfaction guaranteed. If not, it's probably the patriarchy's fault. Anyway, if you would like to participate in our after shows, either as an audience member or a participant, please consider becoming a patron at www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. By the way, one of the benefits of becoming a patron is that you get to join us in the Minecraft server. So please become a patron if you like playing with blocks. That's another thing you get out of it. Playing with blocks in Minecraft, which is totally cool. And now, before we hand this off to Max to give us the first story, I want to do a couple of shillings, but Hannah is far better prepared than I am, so I'm going to let her do it. So, Hannah?
Okay, I will start with the Anti-Feminist Praxis website, because I think that one's going to take a little longer. And my degree of preparation is only slightly more than Brian's on this. I watched the video and started working on answering the questions. But Nick Redding and Fiddlebogan have started a new site called Anti-Feminist Praxis. You might know those guys from Men's Rights Edmonton, if you're familiar with Men's Rights Edmonton. And you might know Nick also from his Slutwalk videos, where again, one of them he actually stood in front of the slut walk or off to the side of the slut walk with a big sign, a big sandwich board sign that said, "I love sluts," and got their reactions, which were interesting, to say the least. But Now, this site is more in terms of anti-feminism than particular men's rights activism, and the About page pretty much explains it. Feminism is the project to increase the power of women with no clear endpoint uniformly stipulated. It says, so far, anti-feminists have similarly lacked an end game. While many have talked about ending feminism or destroying it or cutting it down to size in some way, none have offered any clear idea for what would constitute defeating feminism. The present website is meant to facilitate discussion regarding a possible anti-feminist endgame by asking people to answer any of the three following questions. Number one, what is feminism? Number two, where do you stand? And number three, what is to be done? Now, in the video, Nick said, where do anti-feminists stand? And I think it's a valid series of questions, because we can oppose feminism's authoritarian push all we want, but if we don't have a clear and organized end game, if we don't have a clear and organized set of goals, all we're doing is just having a massive slap fight on the internet that's going to go on forever. So, according to the About page, the website doesn't exist to sell anti-feminism. It's not meant to persuade people to become anti-feminist. It's meant for those who already oppose feminism or are on the brink of doing so and want to provide marching suggestions, basically, goals. And so this is basically a means of orienting people in their activism against feminism's authoritarianism. The website operates within the message parameters of strict anti-feminism, not as a particularly men's rights outlook. So don't look for it to be about changing laws specifically because of men, or about talking about issues that are not caused by feminists. It looks like it's going to be more about dealing with the specific issues that feminists have caused and the activism of feminists that are blocking legal reform. And it says at the bottom, one might accuse this website of not helping men. This accusation is correct. The website does not exist to help men or harm men or women. However, we do not doubt that the net effect upon humanity will be benign, which the net effect of feminism is not. You know, when I looked at this, my first thought was that this actually is going to help everybody, because feminism is damaging. And if we do get a set of goals together and actually work towards those goals and are able to achieve those goals, as long as the goals themselves are reasonable and fair, then that's going to undo some of that damage. So that actually would help men and women. But the end goal itself is not about gender. It's about feminism. So that's what that's all about. If you just look up, it's antifeministpraxis.com, and anti-feminist praxis is all one word, and it's spelled just the way you would hear it, Praxis for praxis, and that's that site. Mm-hmm. So if anybody has any questions about it, I recommend going to the site, and there's a contact us link. There's also an affirmation of nonviolence, which is important, and then there's some other information on the site that will be interesting to check out. But they do have an email address. Now, the contact us page just has that right now. That's antifeministpraxis@email.com. So if you have questions, email antifeministpraxis. The other thing that I want to talk about is not as positive, but is definitely something that is important. Our friend Sevi Rose has been on the show a couple times. She's the homeless woman who has been an activist to help homeless men. She's in a situation where she can use some assistance housed, but she's in an environment that is becoming increasingly hostile, and she herself is a target of that hostility. And she needs to find someplace else to live. So this is a call out, basically, to see if there's anybody among our listeners that can help her find a place to stay, offer her a place to stay, knows some resources that could assist her in getting out of her current situation. And if you're connected to Sevi Rose, you can contact her directly to talk about that. If not, then go ahead and contact us. And that would be, I'm at Onero's Grip. That's going to be harder to contact on Twitter. But also contact us at, it's topics@badger.com, isn't it?
Topics@badgerpod.com, yeah.
Badgerpod.com.
Topic.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Topic.
Topic. No S.
Yeah.
Topic at badgerpod.com. She is currently in Florida.
How do you virtue signal, Max?
Okay, well, before I read the summary, I just want to say for the record quickly that while I might not be a sentient Twinkie like Brian says, I am just as sweet and soft, and you'll likely find me snuggling up to ho-hos at your local 7-Eleven. So, Patrice Desilets, which Brian actually said right the first time, is a game developer whose credits include what is considered widely the best Assassin's Creed game, obviously AC2, although, you know, people might argue that Black Flag is probably better, but that's besides the point. And he's also involved. He was also involved with one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, which is Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Now, this past week, Patrice attended a game developers conference in Croatia called Reboot Develop. It's probably something completely different in Croatian, but whatever. He was there to present his new game called Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey. Now, the game seems to revolve around the theory of evolution and playing as several versions of humankind, from when we were apes to Neanderthals to the present and everywhere in between. Now, during the live presentation, Patrice was asked how he would address the issue of gender inequality in game development, as you do, and when he should have said, gain experience so you earn the positions you apply for, or go fuck yourself, Patrice said the following: if the candidate has a dick, he's not hired. I'm not telling the story of humankind only with guys. It didn't happen that way. You need to make babies. Now, to any person with half a brain, you can tell by the structure of his comments that he was being hyperbolic. Of course, he's going to hire men. In fact, considering how many dudes work for a studio in Montreal called Panache Digital Games, it would be very odd for him to eliminate several competent employees at a critical time in his career. However, his comments were nevertheless sloppy in their presentation. It wasn't long before commenters began parodying his comments. One Reddit user said the following in response to his comments. Quote, I don't know what's worse, that he's discriminating against trans women or that he apparently thinks women's purpose is to make babies. On the developer's YouTube channel, you can see several upvoted comments criticizing Patrice's statement, including the following. Ghostbusting says, quote, how to lose customers before a game ships 101. Alienate 84% of your audience with hypocritical sexist comments.
84%?
Yeah, well, he's just giving a rough estimate. You know, I don't know. Maybe there's 16% of women out there that want to play as apes. Lord Masterization says, quote, since I am a proud male, I will be avoiding this game. Now, whether you take his comments seriously or not, I think we can all agree that this is not the way to honor Harambe's legacy. He was an ape, and he had a dick too. How very dare you, Patrice? How very dare you?
This is another perfect example of the perpetually offended looking for one more thing to be pissed off about so that they have a fucking axe to grind. I mean, I think the thing that the guy said was kind of stupid, obviously. I think we can all agree on that. But yeah. The blowback that he's getting and the people that are coming out and being like, oh my god, 84% of your player base and all this other horse shit. Get the fuck out of here. These people are just, oh my god, it's like a piece of red meat just thrown on the ground in front of a pack of fucking dogs. They're just so ready to pounce on any little thing. It's like, dude, the guy's obviously, he's like, you know, he's being hyperbolic. He's making a dumb joke, and it was a dumb joke. Let's just be real clear. It's fucking retarded. But, I mean, outrage generated from this, it's empty. It's fucking hollow. It's just one more instance of people wanting to be angry about something, and this is just the latest thing that they found to be angry about because, you know, because why not?
Well, it could actually be just a sign of how ridiculous things have gotten in terms of we are constantly confronted with stuff like this that is not a joke. We're constantly like the social justice movement, the social justice ideology, that group, all of them, the extreme progressivism, the feminism, all of the different groups that are involved in this under the social justice umbrella, has become so hyperbolic in its presentation as to become a PO of itself at this point. And there's been a number of times now where it's been demonstrated by, something's come out and everybody's been like, oh, that's not real. Vaginal knitting, that's a joke. They're making fun of feminists. Oh my God, that's real. Yeah. And like, holy shit, what the hell? And then at the other end of it, 4chan comes out with things like piss for equality and feminists fall for it.
I was just about to say.
And free bleeding. They fell for free. Don't practice hygiene. Hygiene is patriarchal. Oh yes, hygiene is patriarchal. It's almost like watching that scene in The Life of Brian where he's preaching to the masses. You are all individuals, and they all go, yes, we are all individuals, and he face palms immediately because they repeated it in unison.
Every couple months, like clockwork, a mass retailer does something so blatantly clumsy that you almost have to wonder whether it was actually intentional. The latest gaffe comes courtesy of Zara in the form of a denim skirt that's being criticized for featuring an embroidery that closely resembles Pepe the Frog, a meme that has been appropriated by hate groups. The skirt in question features two frogs, one in the same green shade as Pepe, and one a mirror image in a darker green hue. Both share Pepe's characteristic thin red lips and bulging eyes, which are obscured by sunglasses. Pepe, a character that began as an innocuous creation by illustrator Matt Fury, was co-opted by a number of hate groups and ultimately declared a hate symbol by the Anti-Defamation League last year. Chicago fashion and music writer Megan Fredrette, totally the person you want to get a quote from, was the first to draw considerable attention to the inclusion of Pepe, or his very close relative, to the offending shirt, tweeting, "Zara is really out there trying to sell a Pepe the Frog shirt, apparently unaware of the current implications of doing that." It would be surprising if no one at Zara was cognizant of the implications of the image, since Pepe gained significant notoriety during the 2016 presidential election, as his image was heavily used by alt-right groups, anti-Semitic factions, white supremacists, and other hate organizations who created Pepe as Trump memes. The usage culminated in an explainer by Hillary Clinton's campaign and the ADL hate symbol designation. The fact that the skirt even exists raises the same question we've been asking for years. Who is approving of this stuff? True, Zara is a Spanish company, so the argument could be made that nuance might get lost in translation, but Zara is also one of the world's most visible, profitable global brands. It's valued at $10.7 billion, according to Forbes, so one might assume they take measures to employ the world's sharpest minds as far as due diligence is concerned. Oh, the irony in that statement. And wouldn't it be great if these Spanish companies were based out of Mexico? The company got a ton of rightful flack in 2014 for a kid's shirt that, with its stripes and yellow star detail, looked remarkably similar to a concentration camp uniform.
Oh, God. One of their greatest hits. Oh, yeah.
And it has been accused of allegedly ripping off designers and featuring a deceptive body-positive advertising. In the wake of the backlash, Zara seems to have removed the Pepe shirt or skirt from its website. Glamour has reached out to the retailer for comment and has not yet received a response.
It's just frogs now. It's just frogs. It's all frogs. I'm going to get it for having that frog puppet, I've been using it since 2007, but they're going to do me out. And then they're going to do Jim Henson. Oh, that was a bad PR move, Jim Henson, going out with that Pepe puppet.
Projectors against Gamergate. During the turbulent first months of Gamergate, bloggers, journalists, and even government officials lined up to sling mud and hurl insults at those concerned about the state of video game journalism and gamers in general. As the years rolled on, interesting and ironic revelations were made about several of gaming's more prominent detractors. Matt Hickey, former tech writer for sites such as Forbes, CNET, and Gizmodo, was noted to have a decisively anti-Gamergate slant. Fast forward to 2017, where Hickey is now facing multiple rape charges after running a fake porn audition scam. Former editor-in-chief of Birth Movies Death, Devin Ferrasi, who called Gamergate supporters misogynist and absolute monsters, also had some dark secrets of his own. Ferrasi stepped down from his position after stories from multiple women emerged concerning his sexually inappropriate behavior. Robert Marmolejo volunteered for Crash Override Network, a so-called anti-Gamergate harassment, I am fucking retarded, I'm losing the line there. Anti-harassment organization started by Zoe Quinn to combat Gamergate. Marmolejo found himself under the gun when he was accused of rape by at least 20 different women. Feminist blogger oh, there you go. Feminist blogger and radio show host Jamie Kilstein accused Gamergate of being about sexism and not ethics in games journalism in late 2014. As of 2017, Kilstein was kicked from his podcast after claims of sexual abuse were levied against him from multiple women. Former writer from The Intercept, Juan M. Thompson, wrote an article in 2015 in which he blamed the online misogyny exposed by Gamergate for the harassment of Zoe Quinn. In 2017, Thompson was arrested by the FBI for making bomb threats to several Jewish community centers under his ex-girlfriend's name. Possibly the worst offender is former Democratic Senator of California, Leland Yee. In addition to passing 2 bills restricting the sale of advertisement of video games, Yee spoke highly of Anita Sarkeesian, calling her courageous for taking important issues on of sexism in the gaming industry. God, I am fucking terrible at reading right now. He was also one of California's most outspoken anti-gun advocates. I'm noticing some fraud and short here in a moment. Introducing many bills limiting access to firearms and firearm accessories. In March of 2014, he was arrested under charges of racketeering and arms trafficking, of all things.
Whoops.
What? He eventually pled guilty and is currently incarcerated. Just how many more outspoken critics of Gamergate and gamers will be exposed for having a closet full of skeletons? Only time will tell!
Huffington Post forced to apologize for racist propaganda. Editor-in-chief resigns. I'm not really a fan of governmental bodies deciding which forms of speech are acceptable and which are not, but apparently that is the status quo in South Africa. The Press Ombudsman of South Africa, a governmental agency that arbitrates all issues relating to the media, has ordered the Huffington Post, South Africa, so don't celebrate too much because I'm sure this is not a Huffington Post that we are exposed to issue an apology for publishing their article titled, "Is It Time to Deny White Men the Franchise?" By the way, before I continue this article, it's important to point out that in South Africa, there is a lot of racism against white people. Just throwing that out there. As we have come to learn, the article was in fact a satirical piece, satire, written by a very clever troll to expose Huffington Post's bigotry and lack of fact-checking. The Press Ombudsman issued a very stern rebuke towards HuffPo, stating that they have violated numerous sections of the press code. The agency said it has found HuffPo of publishing hate speech and publishing speech that targets a specific group of people. Wow, it must be nice to feel like a specific group of people that is capable of having hate speech thrown at them and be white at the same time. According to the agency, HuffPo's, they literally wrote HuffPo, I think that's an accident, but HuffPo's article was discriminatory and denigratory to white males. Fucking white males. Cape Town. The Huffington Post has been ordered to, this is the actual message. The Huffington Post has been ordered to apologize to the public for publishing a racist and sexist blog that incited hate speech, titled, "Could It Be Time to Deny White Men the Franchise?" In a strongly worded finding, Press Ombudsman Johan Retief, I guess, said editor, oh my god, Vaharashi Pillay had violated numerous sections of the press code and had contributed to the erosion of public trust in the media. The publication, which has launched last year as a sister to News 24 in the Media 24 stable, has already complied fully with the Ombuds order to publish an apology of equal prominence and position to the blog, and has included a link copy of the full finding as ordered. In related news, the editor-in-chief of Huffington Post, South Africa's Verhashi Pillay, who I mentioned earlier, has presented a resignation letter to her employers, and it has been accepted. News 24, Huffington Post's SA parent company, says her decision to resign was in response to rebuke from the press ombudsman. She has announced the company has accepted the resignation from her position as editor-in-chief of the Huffington Post, South Africa. Her resignation followed immediately on the release earlier today of the findings of the press ombudsman that a blog published on the site was malicious and discriminatory. Pillay said, I respect the office of the press ombudsman and have decided to tender my resignation. Thank you to Media 24 for this opportunity and all the best to the team at Huffington Post, South Africa going forward. Like I said in the beginning, I don't like governmental agencies having the right to censor hate speech. However, if there are laws in place in a certain country to ensure that people don't say discriminatory things towards minorities, then the least they can do is ensure that said laws are also applied fairly when white men are the ones being targeted. I disagree with the press ombudsman decision, but I respect their consistency.
But prejudice plus power.
And there's something else to point out here, but it's from a different article on the same thing. And this was Times Live. This is timeslive.co.za. So I'm not sure exactly where that is, but I ran into that article in a different forum. And one of the quotes in it, let's see, where is it? Verhashi Pillay, Pillay claimed the blog was pretty standard for feminist theory and that there was nothing in the article that should have shocked or surprised anybody. It's the one line I'm going to read from it. The whole rest of it is very similar to the other article, but that's significant in and of itself. Pretty standard for feminist theory. For feminist theory, it's standard, right? For someone to put forth the argument that a group should lose their voting rights based on ethnicity and sex. A person who made it to the top editorial position at a nation's outlet for the Huffington Post, which is a multinational media corporation. A person who made it to the top editorial position for that believed that something being standard for feminist theory would make statements that would otherwise be shocking statements, very shocking statements, into a respectable editorial. Guys, that is reference material. When you get told that feminism is not about hating men, and when you get told feminists have no power, that right there is reference material. A person who made the top editorial position at a national outlet for an international media company felt that saying something was standard feminist theory would turn a shocking, sexist, racist statement into a respectable editorial.
We're going to go ahead and go on into the after show. If you want to join us in our after show, either as a viewer or as a participant, please go to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. One small amount gets you to the ability to watch the shows. A slightly larger one will let you join us in the channel and talk about the bonus topics. So that's it. Yeah. Patreon.com/honeybadgerradio. Also, join us on Minecraft. We have a Minecraft server, and if you become a patron, you can also play in the Minecraft server with our other Minecraft people, which I mentioned before. If you like Block Lives, then, you know, just make that happen. Otherwise, I'm going to accuse you of being a bigot in your high definition world. I don't know. You guys, some people don't have the poly counts that you have, and you have to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Your poly privilege. Max, you're going to say something?
Yeah, just so you know, the entire world may or may not be filled with giant recreations of dicks. Just so you know.
Yeah, it may not be. But
And Max is definitely not responsible for that. Absolutely not.
No, not whatsoever. Nope. I mainly just make giant shrines to myself because
and swastikas.
Yeah. Well, no. It's a good luck charm.
It's not.
It's a Tibetan good luck charm.
It's a Buddhist symbol. It's a Buddhist symbol of fortune. All right. Anyway, so we're moving on, and we'll see you guys in the next time we do one of these fucking things.